welcome to Kitty's Spooky Gaming Channel. I'm Kitty, and we're back with the Part A on Lamplight City. So, we are trying to find out the murder mystery of how the girl's brother died. He got shot in a bar alleyway, and there was literally no major suspects yet. So let's go ahead and dive on in and see what we can find. Alright. So I do remember we went over here and talked to the one man that had the scar on his face. He gave us a little bit of info, but nothing too crazy. This is the bar. So let's go ahead and jump over here and see what the sewer man can say.
So this is what it's come to, eh? Braving the stench of human waste in hopes of finding a lead. Just make sure you stay away from the edge.
Begging your pardon, sir.
What? Who are you? What are you doing down here?
My name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a sewer worker by the name of Cormac.
We needn't look no further. But what is this about?
I just have a few questions for you.
Ooh, we found
All
him
right.
already.
Cormac will answer them, but don't dally for too long. It can be dangerous down here for anyone who's not trained as Cormac is.
His voice does not match his face. I'm sorry. I just gotta say that right now.
Do you frequent a pub called the Silent Raven?
Yes. The Raven is where Cormac goes to forget about the day's work. The barmaid, Nicole, she's a good sort. We likes talking about the ponies down at the track. Nikki loves her some racing. She gives Cormac drinks for cheap in exchange for odd jobs. Nice to have your own personal sewer man, I suppose. She's really the only one Cormac talks to. There's a few others Cormac sees often, but Cormac hasn't spoken with them.
Cripes. This guy goes on, doesn't he? To be fair, you were warned.
Wait, so he replies himself as a third person? Okay, interesting.
Is it difficult being a sewer worker?
Difficult? Nah, it's a dream. Especially since they introduced all these steam tech treatments and purification whatsits. The only thing Cormac's got to do is check the little dial never goes into the red on old Belinda.
Belinda?
Aye, the purifier. She's a real special lady who's made Cormac's life so much brighter. Cormac makes sure to thank her each and every day.
Wonderful. We're talking to a lunatic.
Wasn't so easy a few years ago. Back then it was tapping on pipes all day.
Tapping on pipes?
To make sure they was flowing fine and not blocked. Cormac would take his little hammer and tap, tap, tap on the pipes to make sure they was ringing fine. You can imagine what that was like. Tap, tap, tap. Ring, ring, ring. All day, up and down, over and over. The tapping stopped, but the ringing never left. Still hears it to this day, Cormac does.
Okay, so I can completely understand why he's probably a little bit of a lunatic because of tapping and ringing in his ear constantly never stops. And plus, being down in the sewer and inhaling all these fumes, I'm guessing, that's really toxic, right? So, yeah.
Do you have any opinions regarding the election?
Cormac hears lots of things about Atwood, but he's the one what's got this new machinery put into the sewer system. There's still a job for Cormac, so all that talk about being replaced by machines is just talk, for now. But Leroy says he wants to give the workers their fair chance, so Cormac can't argue with that. What about you?
I would have preferred Atwood stay in office myself.
Bah, they's all the same in the end. One way or another. No point worrying, says old Cormac.
Do you know anyone named Priscilla?
Nah, that's not a name Cormac knows.
Frankly, I'm surprised it's not the name of one of his tools.
Do you know anything about the murder that took place outside the Silent Raven on election night?
Murder? Ah, yes. The commotion out in the alleyway.
That's right. Did you see or hear anything?
It was a touch noisy that night, what with all the election stuff happening, but Cormac remembers the sound of the gun. One shot, and then shouting and hollering from the bar. A few people run outside to look at what happened, but Cormac just stayed in his seat and finished his whiskey.
So you didn't see the man who was shot, or who shot him?
No, keeps to himself, Cormac does. Makes life easier that way.
Could he be any more unhelpful? Actually, it's probably best not to find him.
You know a man named Ronan Lespay?
Cormac knows few men. People don't much like talking to a man who spends his days in his sewers. Can't really blame him for it. It's hard to get a stink off, so why bother even trying?
You didn't answer my question, though. Do you know Ronan Lespay or not?
Could you describe him? Cormac's got a better memory for faces than for names.
I have his portrait. Here, have a look.
Ah, yes. Cormac saw this fellow recently.
On election night?
That's right. He come into the bar, voted, went out. Looked drunk to Cormac, but then everyone at that place usually is.
I'll let you return to your work.
Be mindful on your way out.
I ain't gonna mess with none of his stuff. Alright, so we got some information on him. Now let's go on ahead and go down here. Ooh. Look at all
I beg your pardon. Are you Tom Puffin?
I am. How may I help you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Questions? Have I done something wrong?
No, Mr. Puffin. I simply believe you may have some information that I need.
Very well, then.
this. Jesus, okay.
What were you doing on election night, Mr. Puffin?
Election night? That was ages ago, wasn't it?
It was 4 nights ago, to be precise.
Oh, you have to understand. I have trouble recalling what I ate for breakfast this morning, let alone what happened 4 nights ago.
Well, isn't that convenient?
Do try to remember, Mr. Puffin. It's quite important.
Well, I know I voted at my local polling place, the Silent Raven. And then, I'm not sure, actually.
How did you become choir master of this church?
Oh, well, I studied music at the University of New Britannia. Once I completed my studies, I began writing symphonies in hopes of securing a patron, but I
He sounds
had no
drunk already.
luck. So I decided to focus on choral compositions. I said a few pieces to the bishop, and he offered me the position.
And you enjoy it?
Oh, yes, sir, immensely. I'm able to continue composing songs for our choir, as well as teach music to our young members. I take my church duties very seriously.
What else do you do besides lead the choir?
Just a few things here and there, making sure the aisles and the pews are clean, tending to the prayer candles, that sort of thing.
Do you recognize the man in this photo?
Is that? No, never mind.
What is it?
Well, for a moment, I thought it was someone else, but I was clearly mistaken.
So you don't recognize this person then?
Afraid not. Who is he?
His name is, or rather was, Ronan Lespay.
What? Is he dead?
He is. I'm trying to find out who killed him.
Well, I hope you find your man, Mr. Fordham.
Do you know anything about the murder outside the Silent Raven?
Murder?
Yes, a man was shot. Did you see or hear anything?
I don't remember. I don't think so, no.
How long were you at the Raven that evening?
Not very long, I don't think. I went, voted, stayed for a drink, and then I left.
You recall what you did the rest of the evening?
Not specifically. I probably went home and went to bed, like I always do.
Are you in the habit of using opium, Mr. Puffin?
What? Why would you think that?
I met your friend Darius. He told me you share a pastime.
All right, yes, I do enjoy a visit to the opium den from time to time.
From time to time? More like morning, noon, and night.
Have you found the drug has had any adverse effects? Memory loss, for example.
I admit I'm not quite as quick as I used to be, but without it, I'm in constant pain.
Is that right?
I fell off a horse when I was 15, and ever since then, my back's not been right. The doctors haven't been able to help. Poppy is my only comfort. I wish there were another way.
It might be worth seeking a more professional opinion about the effects of opium.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Priscilla? What does that have to do with anything?
The name has come up in my investigation. Is it someone you're acquainted with?
No, it isn't. I don't know anyone by that name.
You certainly seem concerned about her, though.
I'll let you resume your practicing, Mr. Puffin.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Alrighty. He's really pretty though. Oh my goodness.
Hello and welcome to the Gripsome Taxidermy Shop. Please let me know if I can be of service.
I wonder how many people it took to bring down this brute. There's a small button on the base. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next?
What is this thing supposed to be? Alright, let's get to it.
I was wondering if you might answer some questions for me.
Of course. What can I help you with?
Anything you can tell me about the shop?
Plenty! This is New Britannia's most sophisticated taxidermy shop. Unlike other taxidermists, we work with modern technology to get results they could only dream of.
What does that mean exactly?
Using steam tech, we are able to create the illusion of life in these beasts. Just take a look at our floor samples. The parrot and gorilla are two of our finest works. They really speak for themselves. Well, the parrot does at least. I think it would frighten our customers if the gorilla did too. And once ethericity is harnessed as a viable source of energy, we'll get even better results.
This guy is way too excited about bringing dead things back to life.
Yes, fascinating. Moving on.
That is a little odd.
I was told Ronan Lespay works here. Do you know him?
Ronan? Yes, of course. That is to say, I know he works here. I haven't had much interaction with him. He mostly keeps to himself.
Does he have an office or workspace I might have a look at?
Now, wait just a minute. Why would I let some random stranger off the street in to look at an employee's workspace?
Because I'm a private investigator and I'm trying to get some information.
Well, even if that is the case, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Ronan does have a workspace, but it's completely bare. He doesn't keep anything here.
So how did you get this job?
Oh, it isn't a terribly exciting story, I'm afraid. I just saw an ad in the Gazette for a clerk position. I never expected to learn so much about taxidermy.
I'm sure he's amazing conversation at parties.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered 4 nights ago?
I had no idea. That's awful. What happened?
That's what I'm currently trying to find out. Do you know if Ronan had any enemies? Anyone who might want to do him harm?
No. As I said, I didn't speak with him much or know much about him. But now that I think about it, I did notice a strange man waiting around outside the shop a few days ago.
Tell me about this strange man you saw.
At the time, I didn't think much of him. But the more I recall, the more I realize he was being very suspicious.
What did he do?
He just stood outside across the street, but he seemed to be focusing on the building. It was as though he was waiting for someone.
Do you remember what this man looked like?
I didn't get a very good look at him, but I do remember some things. He was tall and had a heavy build, like a boxer or a dock worker. He had a beard, I think, or mutton chops at the very least. And as far as I can recall, he was wearing all black. He also had on some kind of cap. I'm sorry I can't give you a better description, but that's all I was able to distinguish. My eyesight isn't very good, I'm afraid.
It'll have to do. Thank you for your help.
Alright.
Thank you for your help.
I'm here to serve.
That leads into a room with even more dead things. It's such a shame we haven't the time to stick around and explore.
Alright. Here. Position. Let's go back to talk to her again. Because we learned one new thing about her, that she likes resources.
Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
I was given the physical description of a man, and I was wondering if you might recognize him if I told you.
Perhaps. Go on, then.
He's tall, strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Bit vague, wouldn't you say? That covers about half our clientele.
I was afraid that might be the case. Did you notice anyone of that description here on election night?
No. Can't say I did, sorry.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Nope.
I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah.
Alright, well. That wasn't too much help. Let's go back and talk to the sister.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
Did Ronan know anyone named Priscilla?
Priscilla? No, I never heard that name before. Who is she?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
I wonder if Ronan had finally met a young woman.
Oh boy, now you've done it.
Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
She's not very helpful.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Upton, I need you to put out a bulletin. There's someone I need found.
Oh, who's that?
I don't know his name. I only have a description.
All right, I'll need to ask you a few questions. Could you describe the man's height and build?
He's tall, with a large build.
All right. What color is his hair?
Oh, what was it? Oh no.
I believe it's black.
All right. Do you know of any unique details that might make him easier to identify?
I was told he was dressed all in black.
I see. Well, I'll put out the bulletin, but that's a bit of a generic description. All right. The bulletin is out. I'll let you know if I hear anything.
Thanks, Upton. I appreciate the help.
Maybe I can go back and talk with them.
I have a few more questions for you.
I'm listening.
I was wondering if you could tell me whether you saw a certain man at the Raven on election night. He's tall, strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Lots of people like that go to the Raven. I see loads of them every night. But now that you mention it, I do remember someone like that. He was a strange one.
How so?
I remember one of the times he came in, he was adjusting his hat. I could have sworn when he took it off for just a moment, his hair was bright red.
Fuck!
How is that strange, exactly?
Because his beard was jet black. It was the oddest thing I'd seen. Well, it was the oddest thing I'd seen. Until his beard slid halfway down his face.
I see. Well, thank you for the information.
Wonderful. This testimony is about as useful as a hole in the head. Then again, there might be something to it.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, young man. May you find peace and happiness.
Okay, so we need to go back and try to get more of the description out. So let's change what the guy looks like. He had bright red hair. Okay. I knew he had a black beard. There we go.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Okay, update the guy.
Can I try give...
Sure. More details. Could you describe the man's...
All right, yeah, he is tall and large.
He's tall, with a large build.
All right. What color is his hair?
I'm certain it's red.
All right. Do you know of any unique details that might make him easier to identify?
He has a beard, or mutton chops.
I see. Well, I'll put out the bulletin, but that's a bit of a generic description.
Thanks, Upton. I appreciate the help.
All right, let's go. Got more information. Let's go. Let's go back and talk to him now.
A moment of your time, if I may.
Right, we'll make it quick.
I wonder if you could tell me if you saw a man of this description at the Silent Raven on election night. He's tall, of strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Oh, aye. Cormac remembers seeing a fella like that.
What was he doing?
Kept going in and out of the bar. When he was inside, he stood near the voting booths, hardly moving a muscle.
And when he was outside?
That, Cormac couldn't say.
Did you notice anything else about him?
Yes, Cormac noticed him come in and speak with Nicole, the barmaid, after the commotion outside.
Is that right? That's very interesting. I'll let you return to your work.
Be mindful on your way out.
Ooh. Now let's go talk to the guy at the choir.
Could I have another moment of your time, Mr. Puffin?
Yes, I suppose so.
Oh, he doesn't know nothing.
So, what do you think of the election results?
All right, the election. Who won?
Leroy. He beat Atwood by a significant margin.
Oh, I suppose that's good. I think I may have voted for him, but I'm not sure.
I'll let you resume your practicing, Mr. Puffin.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
I guess him being so messed up on opiates, he wouldn't be much of a help, so it wasn't worth of a try. Let's go back to the Raven and ask her some questions now because she was caught still talking to him, so.
Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
You know that description I gave you earlier? Of the tall man in black?
Yeah, what about it?
I spoke with Cormac, and he told me he saw you speaking with someone fitting that description shortly after the murder occurred.
And you believed him? Cormac's a good sort, but he's not exactly reliable.
I'd say he's twice as reliable as you are. Now tell me the truth, or I'll have you in as an accomplice to murder.
All right, relax. I don't know the man by name, but he came to me after the commotion outside and paid me a few crowns to keep my mouth shut about it. I didn't ask any more questions, and I wasn't about to refuse some extra cash. That was that, I swear.
That's not good enough. I need some way to find this man. Is there anything else you can tell me?
Well, I did notice he had a scar on his left cheek. Kind of looked like a shepherd's crook. But that's all, really.
Suppose that'll have to do.
But
I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah.
Doesn't the other guy have a scar on his cheek too? Hello? Like, hello? Alright. We need to go back to the police station now.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Can I try giving you that description again? I may have more details now.
Sure. More details will definitely help. Could you describe the man's height and build?
He's tall, with a large build.
All right. What color is his hair?
I'm certain it's red.
All right. Do you know of any unique details that might make him easier to identify?
Yes, he has a scar on his left cheek in the shape of a shepherd's crook.
Good. That will be helpful. All right, I'll put out the bulletin. Give me a moment. All right, the bulletin is out. I'll let you know if...
Upton? Just got your bulletin.
Hello, Giles. Have you got something for me?
As a matter of fact, I've got someone in the jail fitting your description perfectly.
You don't say.
Yup. Name's Harvey Presser. Got picked up a couple of days ago.
Thank you, Giles. You heard the man, Fordham. You've got yourself someone to interrogate over at Bow Street.
All right, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Looky here.
Fordham, you look even worse than the last time I saw you.
We can't all manage to keep looking as good as you, Giles.
What brings you back?
Here's a tall
I'm looking to
man.
speak with your prisoner.
Presser? I just got off the horn with Upton about him. Seems you're not the only one interested in finding the man.
Then I suppose it's lucky I got here first.
Suppose so.
What was he brought in for, exactly?
He's the suspected leader of a cooping gang. Makes me glad I didn't bother to vote. All those dirty politics are just a waste of time.
And people wonder why nothing in Parliament ever changes.
Interesting. Okay, let's ask him some questions.
Harvey Presser, I presume.
Who's asking?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
What do you want from me?
Just a few minutes of your time. You don't have anywhere to be, do you?
Hardy ha. Ask what you want, but I'm not answering anything until I see a lawyer.
I hear you were arrested for leading a cooping gang. Is that right?
I don't have to tell you a thing. You're not a copper.
All right.
Do you recognize the man in this ferrotype?
Should I?
His name is Ronan Lespay. He was shot outside the Silent Raven on election night.
That's a real shame.
Are you saying you know nothing about the murder outside the Silent Raven on election night?
Not a thing. I've never even heard of the Silent Raven.
Is that right? Because I've spoken to at least 3 people who swore they saw you there that night.
Yeah, and you're not police, so that doesn't scare me. You can't do a thing about it.
This guy's starting to get on my nerves. There has to be a way to make him talk.
That's all the questions I have for now.
Good. Leave me in peace.
He's not a very nice man. Now, how can we make him crack? Let's see if she knows anything.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
So, this is your bakery.
My husband Gerald and I have had it for almost 10 years.
Is it just the 2 of you? Do you have any children?
Alas, no. Some extra hands would be most welcome in the kitchen, but we haven't yet been blessed. It's such a shame that Ronan never got to be an uncle.
Oh my god.
What are your thoughts on the outcome of the election?
Oh, I haven't given it much thought, to be honest. It hardly seems to matter now.
Yes, of course. My apologies for bringing it up. Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
She is so unhelpful.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Upton, what do you have on this Harvey Presser fellow?
Give me a moment, and I'll locate the arrest report. Here we are. He was picked up in a bar in Chumley after being identified as the leader of a cooping gang by one of his fellow gang members.
So much for loyalty. Anything else about him?
Not much besides his address.
That might be worth looking into.
It's 5885 Riverview Road, right near the asylum.
Ah, wonderful. Maybe afterwards you can drop by and pick out a room.
How are things with you?
Better than last week, but plenty of feathers still ruffled around here.
What happened?
You have to ask. Snelling was not happy with you turning up at the Latham crime scene. It was a right inquisition around here. Snelling going around to interrogate everyone, trying to ferret out a leak.
So he suspects.
I'm afraid so. I managed to calm him down some and divert suspicion. He thinks someone on the force is speaking to the Gazette, not to you directly.
Well, that's some kind of relief. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, don't worry about me. Well, maybe worry about me a little.
That was one hell of an election, wasn't it?
That it was. I don't know how he managed it, but I'm glad Leroy won.
I can't say I agree, but I'm not really surprised. Leroy may have started as something of a dark horse, but his campaign had been gaining a lot of steam leading up to the election. Pun not intended.
Yes, well, it's the Steam Tech issue that clinched it. When something like the Lygia happens, people start to wake up and wonder if we really want contraptions like that in our lives.
You have to admit, he was playing up on people's fears. Not exactly the most honorable way of getting into office.
Fordham, since when have politics ever been honorable?
I'll let you get back to work.
And you'd better do the same.
Okay, we have maybe suspect's address. Well, I mean, we have his address, but he may be a suspect. We don't know yet. But let's go ahead and talk to the morgue guy and see what he has to say about some of the more evidence that we've came up with. I believe we did discover something about opium, so let's go ahead and see what he has to say about them.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
How's the coroner business?
Things have been pretty dead around here lately.
Don't quit your day job, Edwards. Edwards, do you know much about the effects of opium?
Quite a great deal, unfortunately. It's all the rage these days. Most people use it to calm the nerves or relieve pain, but it's highly addictive and has numerous adverse effects.
Such as?
It depends, really. Most common are sweating, nausea, memory loss, or blurred vision. But more serious cases can lead to hallucination, violent mood swings, coma, or even death. I just had a case in here a few weeks ago who died from an opium overdose. It wasn't pretty.
Doesn't sound like it. Thanks for the information, Edwards.
Anytime.
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Okay, so we did get information about the drugs that dude's taking. So now he's on the suspect board because now he could show signs of violence and he is having blackouts. So now we have that in, so that's noted. Let's go ahead and go over to dude's apartment and see what we can dig up over there.
Just a moment. Yeah? What do you want?
Ooh, she doesn't look like the type to take any guff. Better watch yourself, Miles.
Mrs. Presser, I'd like to speak with you about your husband.
Well, he's not here right now. He's been away for a few days, actually. Who are you exactly?
My name's Miles Fordham. I just have a few questions. I promise this won't take long.
All right, come in. But try and keep it down. My daughter isn't feeling well, and I don't want her being disturbed.
Mrs. Presser?
Yeah, what?
What does your husband do for a living, Mrs. Presser?
Harvey? He's a traveling salesman. Sells steam-powered cleaners like the ones in the corner there.
Oh?
Doesn't make much money on account of most people being afraid of steam tech these days. But Harvey tries his best to provide for me and little Mary. He's a good man. The job takes him out of town for days at a time, but we get by.
And that's all he does?
What are you asking? You know something I don't?
No, not at all. I was just curious.
Oh, look, another husband keeping secrets from his wife. There are a copper a dozen around here, it seems.
So what do you do while your husband's away?
Hang on there, what are you playing at? I'm a married woman.
I merely wanted to know a bit more about you, that's all. I meant no disrespect.
Is that your game? Asking innocent ladies about themselves so you can have your way?
She doesn't have to worry about being mistaken for innocent, that's for sure.
No, you know what? Just forget I said anything. Are you pleased with the election results?
Yeah, I'm glad that no-good high muckamuck Outwood was voted out. Maybe now they can finally get to work on that bridge to Gascon we've been promised for so long.
But won't Leroy's opposition to steam tech be bad for your husband's business?
Maybe, but Harvey's always managed to land on his feet. If it comes down to it, I'm sure he'll be able to find a new job in no time. I was never too keen on him selling those contraptions anyway. It'll be a relief to get them out of the house.
Is your daughter all right?
She's just come down with a bit of something. This stew I'm making will put her right again. I've been giving her regular doses of Pink Bladder's Miracle Tonic, too. I'm sure she'll be back to tearing the house down again in a matter of days. Ticks after her father, that one.
You know a man named Ronan Lespay?
Never heard of him.
And you've never seen the man in this ferrotype?
Nope. And I'm glad I haven't. Looks like a real pushover.
I don't have any more questions for you, Mrs. Presser.
Good.
Some of those modern steam cleaners, if they use them in this place, they clearly aren't worth a damn. Seems to be a notice from the bank threatening to foreclose on this place if they're late on their rent payment again. No wonder Harvey's taken a second job. Presumably that goes into the presser's bedroom, or it might be a closet, or both. It seems peasant soup is on the menu tonight. She doesn't look so good.
I was wondering if you might answer some questions for me.
Of course. What can I help you with?
Any thoughts on the recent election?
I'd really rather not talk about it. I don't know how the people of this country could put someone like Hart Leroy in charge.
I know what you mean. Leroy may be a champion of the common man, but Atwood's vision for the future is more important right now.
I couldn't agree more. Leroy wants to forsake all the technological advances of the last decade and take us back to the Dark Ages. Next thing you know, he'll be bringing slavery back.
I doubt he'd go to such extremes.
Perhaps we should drop the subject. I get a bit passionate when it comes to these sorts of things.
Thank you for your help.
I'm here to serve.
Okay. Jude seemed to get a little defensive when I asked about the election. I'll take note on that and keep that in memory. But let's go ahead and go back to the jail cell and let's see if we can rile him up and get more evidence out, since we did go over there and scope out his apartment and actually get to, speak with his wife. And let's see how he changes his attitude
A few
now.
more questions for you, Mr. Presser.
Whatever you say.
I had a little chat with your wife. You have a lovely family.
Mildred? How did you...
I may not be with the police anymore, but that doesn't mean I can't still get the information I need.
You didn't tell her about me being in jail, did you?
Don't worry. It was quite obvious your wife has no idea what you're involved in. As a man who values discretion, I thought it best not to shatter her illusions.
That's awfully decent of you.
Of course, I might change my mind, unless you start to cooperate.
I have to say, Miles, you've become a real natural at this tough cop role.
All right, fine. I'll talk. Just leave my family out of it.
Do you recognize the man in this ferrotype?
Yes, I do. That's Mr. Lespay.
And how is it you know him?
I was assigned to watch him and then pick him up on election night.
Assigned? By whom?
My employer. I'd really rather not name names, Mr. Fordham.
I don't care about your employer. What I care about is what you were doing with Mr. Lespay.
Well, it was a cooping scheme. He was one of the people I was told to pick up.
Tell me what you know about the murder outside the Silent Raven.
The most important thing I can tell you is that I didn't kill him.
Do you know who did?
Not a clue. I was inside the bar when I heard the gunshot. I went outside to see what had happened and found Lespay on the sidewalk.
And what happened next?
What do you think? I panicked. He was in my care. I wasn't expecting anyone to get killed.
I think Mr. Presser has a wildly different definition of the word care.
I went inside and gave the barmaid 10 crowns to keep her mouth shut. Clearly, that was money misspent. Then I went back home, told my wife I was going away on a business trip for a few days, just in case. Good thing I did, too. I might get out of this with her none the wiser.
What makes you so sure they'll let you out?
Me? I'm just a small fish, but I could talk and talk about whales. That's valuable information.
Quite the shrewd negotiator, this one. I think his skills have been wasted.
Tell me more about this cooping scheme.
I got paid to find men to vote for Atwood. Simple, really. Once I found a good mark, I followed him a bit, knocked him out, then took him to the coop, a little room I rented near the Raven. I had about 5 men on election night, including Lespay. Got them all liquored up and walked them over to the polls. Once each of them voted, we'd walk back over to the coop. I'd change their clothes, maybe give them a fake beard, and walk back for another vote. Did it for myself, too, so people would be less likely to notice. Kept it up for a few hours, until the murder.
Is this your first time in jail?
Yeah, actually. Suppose you think I'm just some criminal scum, born for the gibbet? I'm not a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I just made some mistakes. You've met my family. I'd do anything for them. Anything.
I suppose no good deed goes unpunished.
You can say that again.
That's all the questions I have for now.
Good. Leave me in peace.
Okay, now I want to say I'm going to take him off my suspect board because he does seem like a good man, no matter if he is in a gang doing some bad, stuff behind the scenes. But he did seem like awfully worried when I said something about his wife. So maybe he's not it then. Maybe he's not the killer. I don't know. I don't think he is now. Okay, let's go back to the church and see if I can find anything that I'm missing over there.
Prayer candles? People think lighting one of these is going to solve their problems. Also, what happens if they go out? Does that mean your prayer gets canceled? Shh! What? It's an important question. The more I think about it, the more I want to test my theory about prayers being canceled if the candles go out. It won't be much more help right now. Now this is one intriguing chest. If only we could search it without arousing any suspicions. Well, that's all of them. Hope you made a wish.
Could I have another moment of your time, Mr. Puffin?
Yes, I suppose so.
It seems that all the prayer candles have gone out.
Have they? Blast, I keep saying there's a draft, but nobody's done anything about it. Excuse me for a moment, won't you?
Okay, surprisingly that actually worked. Now let's go ahead and check out this chest.
Let's hope this chest hasn't got squeaky hinges.
Ooh, did we just find a love letter? Hold up. Okay, this is interesting.
Could I have another moment of your time, Mr. Puffin?
Yes, I suppose so.
Do you know anyone named Ned?
Ned? Well, yes, I do. My nephew, Ned Bunkridge.
Your nephew?
Yes, why do you ask?
Where might I find Ned? I'd like to speak with him.
Is everything all right? Ned hasn't gotten into any trouble, has he? I always tell him just because he's training his body, that's no excuse to pick fights.
No, he hasn't gotten into any trouble.
Oh, well, he lives in Lyon, at 511 Parkside Terrace.
Right. Thank you for the information. I'll let you resume your practicing, Mr. Puffin.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Right this way, sir. Mr. Bunkridge is in his gymnasium.
Thank you, my good man.
Well, you take a look at this place, and take a look at him. Maybe you should consider doing some training yourself, Miles. You aren't getting any younger, after all.
Excuse me, Mr. Bunkridge?
Oh, hello. Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. Your valet let me in.
Right, of course. What can I do for you?
I have a few questions for you, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, all right. I could use a bit of a rest anyway.
You're very into physical conditioning, aren't you?
Oh, you noticed. Yes, I believe that a healthy body is just as important as a healthy mind, if not more so.
Well, he's definitely prioritizing the former.
It's important to keep fit, especially at a job like mine where I'm in a chair most of the day.
What job is that?
I'm a clerk at the Bank of Vespuccia. but someday I hope to leave and teach others about the health benefits of regular exercise. Perhaps even open up my own gymnasium.
Ha! He actually thinks people are gonna go for that? Good luck to him.
How do you feel about the election outcome?
I'm disappointed. Atwood may not have been the greatest PM, but he was pro-steam tech. Sure, the Lygia incident was a tragedy, but people are too quick to judge. Steam technology is a boon to mankind. It's already enriched my life considerably. It's a shame that progress is going to be held back because of one isolated occurrence.
I agree. Technological advancement doesn't come cheap, but it shouldn't be abandoned entirely. Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, it most certainly does. My lady love is named Priscilla Poundstone.
I see. What can you tell me about her?
Oh, she's a darling. I love her very much. Such a kind and gentle soul she is, too. Loves animals, especially dogs. We've been together for ages and are due to be married soon.
When was the last time you saw her?
Saw her? Oh, no, Mr. Fordham. She doesn't live in New Britannia. She attends Miss Threadneedle's Academy for Young Ladies in Cormorant.
She lives in New Holland?
That's right. I've never actually met Priscilla face to face. We communicate exclusively through correspondence.
How did you two get involved?
Her father and mine were old military friends. They decided between them that their children would be engaged.
And you're both in agreement?
Yes. I admit at first I was a bit hesitant, but we share many of the same interests. The distance between us is not a detriment to our love.
I wonder how that will change once they actually begin cohabiting.
Tell me about your uncle.
You know Tom?
I've met him, yes. He's the one who told me where you lived.
Oh, right. Well, my uncle is an interesting man.
Is that an interesting of the good or bad variety?
I really wish he would take better care of himself is all. I have the feeling that he's on some sort of drug, although he always denies it.
What gives you that impression?
Well, most of the time he acts completely normal. He goes to work, visits with me. Sometimes we go out together to the theater or a gallery. But some days his mood changes. He goes very solitary, won't leave his house, gets short with me. One time I went to visit him. I heard him yelling along with what sounded like furniture being knocked about. It only happened once, but it worried me. I hope Tom isn't in any sort of trouble.
Opium is one hell of a drug. It's a good thing you never got to that point with the soporific, or Adelaide would have thrown you out much sooner.
Are you all right, Mr. Fordham?
Yes, I'm fine.
What? Too soon?
So you correspond regularly with Priscilla?
That's right. At least one letter a week. My uncle does me the kindness of acting as courier.
Do you think I might have a look at one of those letters?
What for? They're private correspondence.
I understand, but I feel this is important. Perhaps you could show me one that isn't too personal.
Yes, I suppose that would be all right. In fact, I think there's a recent one on the shelf there. That's not too private. But you won't need to take it, will you?
Not at all. I just want to have a look. Are you familiar with a man named Ronan Lespay?
Never heard of him.
I have his portrait. Maybe you recognize him?
No, I've never seen this man before, but... How about that?
How about what?
The detail in this ferrotype is a bit fuzzy, but his facial features and hair, they vaguely resemble mine.
You know, now that he mentions it, it's true. Lespay does bear a passing resemblance to this fellow. Not quite as handsome, though.
So, you know nothing about the murder outside the Silent Raven 4 nights ago?
That's right. I don't even know what the Silent Raven is.
It's a bar in the Chum.
Well, that explains it. For one thing, I don't go to that part of town. A man like me sets foot in that den of ruffians, and I'll have every Tom, Dick, and Harry challenging me to a fight. Not that I couldn't take them, but I have better ways to train my body than beating thugs. Anyway, I don't drink. Dulls the mind and softens the body.
I see. Well, just thought I'd ask.
I'm sorry I can't help you, Mr. Fordham, but I hope you solve whatever it is you're investigating. You seem like a nice enough sort.
Could you give me Tom's address?
You don't have it? I thought you said you'd spoken with him.
I visited him at the cathedral.
But if he's there, why do you want his address?
I have reason to believe he may be somehow involved in a murder.
That's a serious accusation, Mr. Fordham. What proof do you have?
Nothing concrete just yet, which is why I'd like to investigate his home.
Well, you're not the police, so I'm not obligated to tell you. I'm sorry, but you'll need more than just a suspicion to convince me.
On second thought, never mind. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Wait just a minute. Something's off here. The handwriting in this letter is different to the one we found before. There's something strange going on with this Priscilla. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next? Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next? What in the ether is that supposed to be? Looks like some kind of medieval torture device. Then again, so does most of this newfangled exercise equipment. Ooh, this teacup could use a washing. I'd be surprised if it isn't permanently stuck to the desk. A model of the SS Joondalup. Looks like a merchant vessel to me. It's empty. Too bad. Empty save for a nice collection of dust.
Okay, I want to go back nosing around and see if I can find anything out in this journal. I feel like I'm missing something.
There are 2 entries, one from this year and one from last.
So, start with last year's.
July 8th, 1843. I've decided I need to get out more, so I'm going to a club in Gascon tonight. Stuffing animals has taken its toll, and I need to talk to someone who isn't Emily or my coworkers. Gerald told me about a place called the Crimson Cat. I'll try it, and if I don't enjoy myself, I'll just come home. Now for this year's entry. July 8th, 1844. Today is our 1-year anniversary. We're going to meet at the Cat again. I love him, but I wish he wasn't so attached to that place. Emily is so nosy, I worry that she might follow me and discover the truth about Jimbo. If we moved around, I wouldn't worry, but with him, it's always the Crimson Cat. I really shouldn't complain, though. What we have is something truly special.
Well, it seems that our best hope of finding this Jimbo character is to visit the Crimson Cat. Ah, the Crimson Cat. One of my favorite underground clubs. Ooh, I spent some wild nights here. Which reminds me, I wonder if Stefan is still working the bar these days.
Beg your pardon. Your name wouldn't happen to be Jimbo, would it?
Yeah? Who's asking?
Miles Fordham, private investigator.
Can a guy enjoy his shore leave without being harassed by the law? I've done nothing wrong.
I didn't say you had, and I'm most certainly not the law. I just want to ask you a few questions.
All right, fine.
Where does the name Jimbo come from?
It's just a nickname. My real name's James Bowcroft.
And what is it you do?
I'm a sailor. I thought you detective types were supposed to be extra observant. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what my occupation was just by looking at my fingernails or something?
Sorry to disappoint. Perceptiveness is important in my line of work, but I'm also just a man.
I think perhaps Jimbo has been reading too many of those detective stories in Brentwood's.
Do you have any opinions about the recent election?
Not really. I'm usually way at sea, so I don't keep up with politics. The sea's got her own laws. Anyway, I can't vote, so it's really none of my concern.
But you're still affected by the decisions the Prime Minister makes.
Not very fair, is it, Mr. Fordham?
No, I suppose it isn't. You know Ronan the Spey?
I knew him, yeah.
Knew him?
He and I haven't spoken recently. In about a month, actually. Things didn't go so well last time.
How do you mean?
Let's just say we didn't part on the best of terms. He made it very clear that he didn't want to speak to me again.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, that's my ship, the SS Priscilla.
I see. Did Ronan know about it?
Of course. He always used to ask me to bring him back some exotic souvenir.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered?
What? No, when? What happened?
He was shot outside a tavern in Chumley 4 nights ago.
Chumley? What was he doing there?
I was hoping perhaps you could tell me.
I honestly don't know. Ronan hardly went out, and he especially never crossed the river.
Why was that?
I think he was just too scared of the world to go out and see it for himself. He was happy enough reading about it in his books or collecting things I brought him back from my travels. Honestly, that's what I liked most about him. He was just an average, boring man. It was just the sort of balance I needed in my life.
That's pretty much the exact same reason I always enjoyed working with you, Miles.
You and Ronan had a special relationship, didn't you?
Mr. Fordham, we're in an underground club. You don't have to tap dance around it. Yes, Ronan and I were a couple, at least up until last month.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
We had a misunderstanding. Ronan thought I had been seeing someone else. He was extremely jealous. I tried to explain that he had it all wrong, but he wouldn't hear me out. I was going to give him some time to cool off, but, well, that's not going to happen now, is it?
If it's any consolation, I found a letter you wrote him, which he still kept in his desk.
Damn. Thank you for telling me that.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Quite the selection. It rivals even the Angel. Call me old-fashioned, but I've always felt the piano should be played by an actual human. These automated ones just don't have any soul. This place has been around for quite some time. That well-dressed feline is Red, the official mascot.
Okay, well that was interesting to find out. Maybe let's head back to Ned and see if we can get that address now.
Could I ask you a few more questions, Mr. Bunkridge?
All right, but try not to take too long. Don't want to drop my heart rate too much.
About your uncle's address?
What about it? Why do you want it?
I think there's something going on between him and Priscilla.
Something going on? What do you mean?
I found a letter addressed to you from her at the cathedral, and the handwriting is different to the letter you have here.
He has one of her letters? Why would he?
I'm not sure, which is why I'd like to search his home and find out more.
If he's going behind my back, I swear I'll...
Calm yourself, Mr. Bunkridge. If I find anything, you'll be the first to know.
All right. Tom lives at 117 Gimlet Terrace in Worcester.
Hey, we're practically neighbors.
Here, I've got a spare key. If you find anything about him and Priscilla, you'll tell me, won't you?
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Bunkridge. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
All right, now we got the address to him. Let's go ahead and check out his apartment and see what he's hiding.
Nice place. Tidy. Nothing incriminating that I can see.
People rarely leave anything incriminating out in the open. It's time to have a look around.
Puffin's Daily Planner. The man leads an even more boring life than you. Who knew that was even possible? That's odd. There are some scratches on the floor next to that statue. That's odd. There are some scratches on the floor next to that statue. How about that? Looks like we found Singing Tom's buried treasure.
Let's just see what we have here.
Interesting stuff, but what about the box itself? It seems Puffin's gun has gone missing. He should really take better care of his things. Nothing else in there. Too bad.
Alright, literally, we just found the gun. I bet you that this is the gun that killed the girl's brother. I bet you, because I have a feeling of it. Now I feel like he is a hard suspect now.
Securely fastened, unfortunately for you. If only there was some way to undo these bolts and remove the drain cover. Yesterday's rain has made the water level rise significantly. Is it just me, or does it look like there's something resting at the bottom of the drain?
If there is, I have no way of getting to it through the drain cover.
Oh, but I do know somebody that can control the drain system, or at least be nice enough to open this drain for me. Let's go check where he's at, what he's doing right now.
Moment of your time, if I may.
Right, I'll make it quick.
Would you be able to remove the cover of a storm drain?
Yes, of course, sir. Cormac's got the right tool for the job. Just a few twists from old Mary here, and any drain will open up like a Christmas rose.
Excellent. Would you be able to open the storm drain outside the Silent Raven?
Suppose so, yes. But Cormac ain't allowed to just open up drains as he sees fit. What do you want this drain open for?
I believe there's a vital piece of evidence at the bottom of the drain.
You don't say.
It's quite true. It may even help me solve a murder.
Well then, in that case, Cormac will get the drain open for you. Come on, there's not a moment to lose. This it then?
That's the one.
Right, won't be a moment. There we are.
Thank you for your help, Cormac.
Not a problem. Now, if you don't mind, Cormac's just going to pop inside for a quick pint.
Detective work is a dirty job, but someone has to do it. Don't forget to roll up your sleeve.
I really hope there's something down there. Ugh. This is almost as bad as the time I had to search for that stolen necklace in a pile of horse manure.
I'm really glad I didn't draw the short straw in that case. Well, how about that?
A shame the police managed to overlook this.
Well, 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 look at what we just found here. That just got really interesting.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
I found this pistol at the scene of the Lespay crime. Could you take a look and see if it was used to murder him?
It's all slimy. Where was it?
Sitting at the bottom of a storm drain.
Oh, I suppose that's not as exciting as finding it inside someone's intestines. Did I ever tell you about that post-mortem, by the way?
No, I certainly don't want to hear about it now. How long will it take you to analyze that pistol?
I should have something conclusive within the hour, if you don't mind waiting.
No, it'll give me some time to gather my thoughts.
Right. I've concluded my analysis, and this gun was definitely used to shoot Mr. Lespay. The bullet I removed from his body is a perfect match.
Thank you, Edwards. That is extremely helpful.
There's one more thing. I cleaned off some of the muck and found the initials JB etched into the handle.
Interesting.
My expertise with guns is purely forensic, so I can't determine if this is the gun's maker or the initials of its owner. That's going to have to be your job.
Thank you, Edwards. Help is always appreciated.
JB. Wasn't the name on Puffin's gun case Jenkins and Bowen? That's quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Miles, Have you ever noticed that this Jimbo fellow fits the description of the man loitering outside the taxidermy shop? The barmaid told us she saw someone matching that description at the Raven on election night. Not only that, Priscilla just so happens to be the name of the ship Jimbo works on. And the pistol used to murder Ronan has the initials JB etched on it. It could be a coincidence, but I think it's quite reasonable to consider him as a suspect. Things are starting to fall into place here, Miles. Between the letters, the missing gun, and what Edwards told us about the effects of opium, I think we have enough evidence to consider Puffin a suspect.
Yeah, I would say I don't think it's Jumbo. I definitely think it's Mr. Puffins over here. It's red written all over it. I mean, it's literally his gun. We went to his apartment, found his gun safe box hidden in his apartment, and the gun was missing, and it fits the description perfectly. And he's on drugs, so he doesn't understand what he's doing. He's having blackouts and forgetting everything. So I'm gonna really say it's him. It has to be him.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
I've completed my investigation of your brother's murder, Mrs. Morgan.
You have? Oh, that's such a relief to hear. Who killed him?
It was Tom Puffin, choir master at St. Denis Cathedral.
What? But why would a member of the church do something like that?
Puffin is in love with his nephew Ned's fiancée, Priscilla. He's even gone so far as to intercept their letters and write to each of them under false pretenses. Mr. Puffin is also an avid opium user and is prone to fits of rage as well as hallucinations. The evening of the murder, Puffin was at the Silent Raven, and in his opium-induced fog, mistook your brother for Ned. He had his pistol on him, and his rage and jealousy got the better of him. Poor Ronan was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And what about the clothes he was wearing? Or why he was in Chumley in the first place?
I'm afraid your brother fell victim to a cooping gang. They dragged him to Chumley and forced him to vote multiple times. He was wearing someone else's clothes as part of a disguise.
My poor brother. So what happens now?
Now, I'll inform Miss Upton of my findings, and she'll send an officer along to arrest Puffin. From there, justice will be served accordingly.
I see. Thank you for your help, Mr. Fordham.
Tom Puffin?
Yes, may I help you, officer?
You're under arrest for the murder of Ronan Lespay.
What? Oh, God. So it wasn't a dream.
Come along, sir. We need to question you at the station.
You know, Miles, you've been coming in here a lot lately, but you've never looked quite this glum. What's going on?
I've bungled things pretty badly at home. Been staying with a friend the past couple of weeks.
I see. What happened?
I haven't been honest with my wife. Coming here and drowning my sorrows hasn't really helped, oddly enough. And yet, it's all I can do to keep from going crazy.
You know, Miles, I've seen and heard a lot of things over the years. Some of the stories would turn your hair white. But through it all, I've come to learn one thing. It's usually not too late to make things better, but only if you let yourself try.
Thank you for the advice, Patrick.
All I can do is give it, Miles. Whether you choose to take it or not is entirely up to you. Now, would you like another gin?
No, thank you. This time I really do need to be on my way. I should go and see how my wife is doing.
I see. Well, have a good night, Miles. And good luck to you.
Yes, I agree. That's a smart choice. Let's go back home to our wife and fix up things.
Who in the ether? Miles? This is a surprise.
Addie, it's so good to see you. I've been such an idiot lately.
Well, I'm glad you can admit to it. Would you like to come in?
Very much.
Was there something you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to make amends for how I acted when we last spoke. I'm sorry I put you through that. I was an absolute ratbag, and I hope you can forgive me.
I still don't appreciate you keeping things from me. Where have you been all this time, anyway?
Upton's been letting me stay with her.
Better than sleeping under a bridge, I suppose.
Yes, although I don't know how much longer I can impose on her generosity.
Are You asking me to let you come back here?
Yes, but I know I need to earn it. That's why I'm finally going to tell you the truth.
Miles, what are you doing? You know this is a terrible idea.
The truth?
About why I've been acting the way I have been since Bill died.
Well, go on. I'm listening.
Don't do it, Miles. You know it's a one-way ticket to Riverview if you do.
I've been hearing Bill's voice ever since he died.
Fordham, what is wrong with you?
His voice?
I can't believe this! You've just destroyed your life! I hope you realize that!
Yes, in my head, at all hours. That's why I was taking the soporific. It was the only way to keep him quiet. Or so I thought. Turns out that alcohol has the same effect.
What does he say to you?
The type of things he'd say when he was alive. Snarky comments, inappropriate jokes. Mainly he nags me to find the flower shop burglar. He thinks doing that will let him find peace and move on.
I see.
I told you you'd think I was crazy.
Don't be ridiculous, Miles. It's nothing like that. It's just, I wish you had told me sooner is all.
I know, but I was afraid.
Well, I'm glad you finally trusted me. You know, you could have all along.
So, you're all right with it?
It is quite a lot to take in. I think I'll need some time to mull it over. But what matters now is that we can work through this together.
I understand. Well, I should probably go. It was lovely to see you again, Addie.
Lovely to see you too, Miles.
Perhaps I'll stop by again next week?
Or sooner, if you'd like.
Sure. Like the men in white coats aren't gonna have you taken away by then.
Right. I'll see myself out then.
Good night, Miles.
Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and stop it right here. I just want to say I am happy that we, got the guy that killed the poor innocent man. It's sad that it happened that way, but you know what? This is what it is. Kids, don't do drugs. Do not do drugs, because you don't understand who you are, what you're doing, and things like this happen. And it is a serious thing, and it does really happen. But other than that, I'm happy that we found, the main suspect and who actually did it and got justice for that. And I'm really happy that he decided to go back and talk to his wife. Because, when you're with a partner, you got to work on things together, So, let's see if we can get our last case in. Hopefully, it is the main guy that killed our partner in crime. But until then, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!